All right, what up, Dan? Welcome back to the channel. This is Dan Keller from Flux. So we're gonna dive deep, guys. How you doing, buddy?
Ryan, Ryan, you're the hardest working man in show business, man. I tell you what, you're the only guy I know that at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're texting back and forth and saying, "Hey, we want to jump on and do a recording," and you're like that. You're there, so it's pretty impressive, man.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I know your time's valuable, so I got to get it when I can get it. So thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, I appreciate you having me on.
What do you want to dive into? I'm open for whatever you want to talk about. Let's help educate everybody on what Flux is and what else you guys are bringing to the table, because I know you guys got a lot of exciting things planned.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks. I mean, we've got a lot of attention, for obvious reasons, and I mean, we're really excited. We have a lot of new people that are coming into the space and learning about the project for the first time. I would say I probably want to talk to those individuals and tell them how they can educate themselves. They can educate themselves, run on flux.io. We also have an official Medium where we have a treasure trove of data about the project. We also have our Discord, Telegram groups, and so on and so forth. So if you bought some Flux and you're looking to maybe run a node or do some staking, or you just want a deeper dive into the project, this is probably one of the only projects in the space where you can still talk to the founders of the project. I mean, you're not going to reach Vitalik, but you'll definitely reach Dan. So, yeah, I mean, it's really been kind of surreal. I want to thank everybody in the community for that. And, Ryan, when you did your first video recording and talked about Flux, you got me so damn excited. I mean, I was like, it was like a shot in the arm because, when you're working on these projects and kind of in a bubble, you don't necessarily know what the outside world is thinking about you. You just know you want to build the best tech you can build. It's nice and refreshing. I drop into your live streams from time to time just to watch people talk, and it's like it's awesome. And the team, I take those screenshots and send it back to these guys are getting it right. They're figuring it out. So it's pretty exciting, man. And yeah, I mean, it's been a great couple weeks, and the project is really excited, and we've got a lot of movement. Our nodes are going up. We're getting ready to go into probably, I would say, November, into November, at the end of November and into December, probably the biggest month ever in the project. And
Ooh.
yeah, part of that is our 30 and 30. So we're going to launch 30 new dApps in 30 days, and all of them are going to be like massive. Well, not all of them, because we have a couple that were community built, which are really kind of cool. But, we're going to launch, I can't give away a ton of stuff, but
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of concentration, quite frankly, around gaming. So you're going to see gaming servers start to come online, gaming infrastructure start to come online. And it kind of dovetails well into our recent announcement that you're $0 to run your infrastructure at this point on Flux. I mean, compare that to AWS or Azure. I think AWS was $1.75 for the same infrastructure you can get from us for zero. And the way we're doing that is we're promoting it. We're bringing projects into the space that makes sense, not just from crypto, but from standard tech stacks. And you'll notice that in the 30 and 30, I don't think there's any crypto projects in that. I think the majority of them are other tech stacks. So it's going to be a huge, huge month for us. And so I'm really super excited about it.
And I'm so excited. I've been talking to everybody about that 30 and 30 because I don't know if there's another project in the space that could onboard that many projects in that short of a period of time. And you said you're going to have them like, not just like, oh, here's a website. Like you're talking about fully functioning 30 dApps in 30 days, right?
Yep. 30 dApps in 30 days. I
think
can tell you what. I can tell you one of them. I can leak that, and I'm probably going to get choked by the little Stash, who's one of the primary business partners. He's kind of the dev that brings it on. I love Counter-Strike, man, and we're going to launch a full-out Counter-Strike server on Flux. So it's going to go well with our upgraded Minecraft servers that we're running as well. So we really want to start to go after the gaming space, especially with what happened to Steam. Because, when Steam decided that they weren't going to support cryptocurrency, and as a matter of fact, blocked the content off their platforms, it opened up a serious window for us. So we want to showcase that you can do on Flux exactly what, was being done on Steam, and monetize the individuals creating the project. So that's the biggest thing is, how do these guys make money if they build it? We did a project with JS13, which is a project that works on building games, very small games, like almost like, I can't remember the exact meg, but it was like super packaged, right?
Mhm.
That's important because creating that game structure and those game engines so that they run smaller, quicker, faster, and then placing them on a decentralized infrastructure, that's a game winner. And so we were one of the sponsors of their contest. I ended up picking some really cool stuff. I got to see some really cool games. And one of the 3013 is one of the winners from the JS13. So, we're excited about that. It's going to be a big deal.
That's going to be absolute huge deal because I know you guys can't talk about price, but I was just thinking about every NFT project, every game alone, like just one game alone brings so much attention to a blockchain. And just seeing the fact that you guys are going to tune up 30 dApps in 30 days, and then now you're getting into gaming too. It's just like the amount of attention that's going to bring to Flux alone. How is it free on Flux and not free on other what?
Well, because Flux, being a proof of work project, incentivizes the node operators by paying them to run their nodes and provide the computational resources. The more projects that we develop, the more infrastructure we develop, the better it is for them because the value of the asset goes up. It also means that they can get paid in secondary channels. So if they're running a node, for instance, with KDA, if you run a KDA node with chain web data on it, you get rewarded not only in Flux, but you get rewarded in KDA. Now you could expand that to 150 different types of partners. And a node operator, or as I call them, decentralized systems administrators, those decentralized systems administrators, they get to pick the projects they want to support. It's almost like in the mining space, we spec mine. We find a project we really like, we spec mine it, right? Okay, and then basically what you can do is you can pick the projects as a node owner, right, that you want to support and that are the most valuable to you and in terms of resources. So we can offer it at zero because essentially Flux is paying the bill. We've structured our economic model just so that we can bring new projects in, continue to incentivize and reward the node operators, and continue to scale the project out.
That's insane, man. That's going to bring
yeah.
I mean, I see it. I'm still not smart enough, like educated enough to fully understand the tech side of it, but I see the big picture, and I really, man, thank you for coming on the show because like information like this would take me forever to gather by myself. So I know everybody appreciated it. So thanks for coming on.
Well,
man.
think about it like this. I had to explain this to my wife, right? Because she couldn't get it. I tried for days to get it to her, right? And I finally did it this way. I said, honey, do you know what AWS is, Amazon Web Services? She says, yes. I said, right now, Amazon Web Services runs the infrastructure and then sells it to people that need the infrastructure, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says, okay, I understand that. I said, Flux runs the back end and allows the node operators to sell that infrastructure to the people that need it. So instead of AWS using their own infrastructure and selling it out, we're using other people's infrastructure that's decentralized and allowing them to provide compute power to the projects that make sense to them.
Wow.
So she understood that. She's like, I get that now. So she's like, wow, that's like a real big deal. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. So yeah, it was fun. But yeah, you could see the light bulb kind of click on because, it often in this space, everything that sounds too good to be true is too good to be true. But in this case, it is good to be true and not too good to be true. It's because what we're building is the Web3. That's what it comes down to. We are Web3. And we did it this way 4 years ago when we were planning out how we were going to do the decentralized computational network, how we were going to scale it, how we were going to incentivize it, how we were going to develop it. And we grew into our project. And I'll tell you right now, there is no other project in the Web3 space that's doing what we're doing. None. We're not looking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I agree. I've researched a majority of them. So
most of them have intentions of doing what we're going to do, which is great because good ideas foster good ideas, and I don't think we have competition. I think we have opportunities.
Agreed.
Right? So there can be more than one Google, Amazon, Microsoft. You know what I mean? The list goes on. There are other projects that are doing something similar to us, but they're using centralized infrastructure. Or there's other projects that are using ETH as their main chain that doesn't work. Nope. That's not layer two. That's not layer two. That's just a problem. We can't even do, I mean, you see the gas fees, man, the gas fees are insane.
70,000 2 weeks ago for one. 70,000.
It's
That's
insane. It is. It really is insane. And like that's just not, that's why, these unique projects like, what Cadena's doing and what Solana's doing and what, Flux are doing, all of us kind of the new kids on the block. It was funny. I got called a school kid the other day. I'm like, dude, I'm like 47 years old, but okay, whatever works. We're like new school kids, don't call it a comeback, man. We've been here for 4 years building this thing. And,
yep.
So it is exciting to see these projects kind of lay that groundwork.
Can you touch a little bit on how Flux scales infinitely? Because I've been like looking at projects like Solana that broke at 4,000 transactions or 400,000 transactions per second. I know back in the day, Avalanche broke at, or in the early days, and I don't know if it was a scaling issue or it was something else, just being a new blockchain. But like when we say like blockchains are saying 4,000 transactions per second, but what's Visa doing, like 1.2 million or 5 point something million? So they really, they're going to hit, when crypto hits real world adoption, I feel like as far as scalability, Cadena was the only one, but I know now, then I just found out yesterday, you guys have 10 blockchains?
We do have 10 blockchains, but what we're doing is a little bit different. See, I'm going to give you, and this is, by the way, this is the opinion of me, not the opinion of the project or anyone else. This is Dan's crazy mad philosophy. People don't agree with it. Some people do. I err on the side of it. It's kind of the core beliefs I have. Okay, I think TPS, transactions per second, is a red herring. I do believe if we want to see adoption on layer one, we have to see TPS be, MasterCard-like, right? Yep. Visa MasterCard-like, right? But to do that, I think the layer one needs to change and it needs to utilize layer two. And that's where Flux comes into play. Flux does have a layer one chain. We have Flux, the chain, and then we have also parallel assets that go with that as well. So we have right now we're on Ethereum, we're on Binance Smart Chain, we're on KDA, and then we're going to launch on Solana, we're going to launch on Tron, we're going to launch on, we announced Avalanche is another one we're going to add on to, and I think Polkadot was another one that we announced.
That's how you're getting the Sol Flux, right? Or in the Zelcore wallet, you guys, that's how you guys are doing that? Each time you bridge, you added a parallel chain?
Yep.
Oh, that's freaking genius.
Well, the thing about it is we looked at wrapped assets, and ultimately what wrapped assets come down to is that you have to trust a third party audit. I mean, just to get a wrapped asset is like a serious pain in the ass, right? Yeah. So our philosophy was launch them on the native chains and then have within Zelcore, within Fusion, the ability to move from any chain that you launch on. And our number is 10. Because that's what we announced, but it could be 110.
Right.
It could be 510, right? However many chains that we believe are logical, that's where we'll end up at. And that gives us the ability to participate in DeFi across the board, so.
That makes you interoperable with every single chain in the game.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it really does. And the nice thing about it is it's all pegged back to the main chain. One of the big concerns immediately was like, well, what if the price is this on Pancake, and what if the price is this on KuCoin? You have a decentralized exchange and you have a centralized exchange. Well, that's called arbitrage.
100%, 100%, my man.
And you're going to love the shit out of it. So welcome to DeFi. So, I know a lot of people that made a lot of Flux by those arbitrage opportunities.
Hey, Dan,
I'm pretty excited about. Yeah. So the ultimate goal was to put ourselves in a position where we could participate with these parallel chains and then also be tied to the Flux main chain. So like I talked about arbitrage opportunities. Well, now we have liquidity pools on Pancake. We have liquidity pools on KDA. We have, Solana. We're going to be able to participate in the Solana network. So, if you go all the way back in the Wayback Time Machine and to 2018, I said the holy grail of blockchain is interchain operability. Well, that's what we're delivering. We're the ability to work on these different chains. So,
and you guys are going to have the ability to do that to any new blockchain that comes out pretty much faster than anybody.
Yeah, it's going to have to make sense. Like, we're not going to add just any coin. Like, there's a lot. I mean, there is a review process that takes quite a while just for us to, because first of all, we got to validate everything with the other project, make sure that they're actually like, it was an easy one with Ethereum and KDA because we have a relationship with KDA, and Solana and so on and so forth. Some of the new ones like Avalanche, the first time somebody came to me about Avalanche, I was like, what the hell is Avalanche? I had to do research. I had to dig into it. And I spent like a good 3 weeks really reading about it. And I was like, yeah, these guys got some serious value. Poly was another one that was announced. Poly is going to be a logical ad for us because we want to make sure that we don't want to give too much away, but there is the ability for Fusion to do not just the assets we have, but the assets we hold in Zelcore. So, I mean, you could see in the future, right in Zelcore, the ability to move from chain to chain. If I'm in BTC and I want to buy Solana, and I can go through Fusion and never leave my wallet.
Is Fusion also an asset on Flux that we can buy, or?
Fusion is basically the bridge that binds us and our parallel chains.
Is it a token or no?
No tokens. It's an application.
Is that backed by Flux or Zelcore?
Yeah, it's by both.
By
both? I mean, okay. We're sister projects.
I just wanted to make sure I'm not missing out on a coin that's connected to you guys that I.
We only got one, man, and that's Flux. And it's going to be everything in the ecosystem gets powered by Flux. So that's the nice thing.
That's the hashtag run on Flux.
Yes, sir.
Everything's running on Flux.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man.
It opens up an opportunity for us to kind of bridge that DeFi gap, give us that interchain operability. But the bigger piece of that is the fact that, like you talked about layer one, we have to have a pretty snappy and quick layer one, but we're not dependent on TPS because our layer two is what we're providing, right? So we need to be able to pay our node operators. We need to be able to validate the chain. We need to be able to do the things that proof of work does.
Yep.
But we're not dependent on scaling on it because we created a layer two solution.
When you guys bridge, are those bridged on the layer one or are those bridged on the layer two?
Well, Fusion's a layer two product. So,
sweet.
You have think of it this way. It even goes deeper, and this is kind of creepy when you think about it in terms of like how ingenious it is, right? You're bridging layer one and layer two because layer one is Flux, the proof of work chain, and layer two is these parallel assets that have been developed on other people's chains. It has this kind of symbiotic relationship so that you're really gapping layer one, layer two, and layer two with everyone else. Because what we do with KDA is layer two support. We do it with Presearch. We do it with Firo. Both of those are getting ready to launch within the next few days.
You guys are bringing Presearch to Flux?
Yeah, I guess we are. We are.
When is that announcement? Because I might not get this video edited out in time if we want to make sure that nothing gets leaked early.
No, it's going to be probably next week, I would say, till we get the official announcement out. So maybe let's say Monday of next week. So
if you go back to my videos back in the like this bull run at the very, very beginning, Presearch is one of the first coins that I started because they're trying to build the decentralized YouTube, right? Or is it decentralized Google?
No, it's Google. Yeah, decentralized Google, and the way that you'll be able to support Presearch and really Firo and any of the other projects that come in marketplace, which, okay, I gave away something else. We'll be launching a marketplace essentially for Flux where people can go in and tune these applications up. It's as simple as 2 clicks. You click which node you want to run and you basically launch it. The KDA structure and what we're doing with them is much more complex. So like there's a lot deeper pieces. But we want people to participate on every single layer. You know what I mean? We want them to run nodes. We want them to run applications, Raspberry Pis that can run what will be our storage tier node. The crazy thing about Flux is, and I always say this, is we're only limited by what we can think of. Because if we had unlimited AWS servers and we didn't have to pay for them, we could probably come up with some pretty crazy stuff to run on those servers, right? Well, you can run pretty much anything you want. You're just limited by your imagination. I mean, we had a guy that was like, hey, can we run, I want to run a Minecraft server for my kid and I'm tired of dealing with it. Can we do that on Flux? I'm like, yep, we'll stand it up. Give me till tomorrow. Boom.
No way.
2 hours later, we had Minecraft up and running on Flux. And his kid was logged in and he built this in Minecraft, this big block thing that said Flux in his world. So when you go into his world, the first thing you see is Flux and you go into it. So it was pretty wild. So the 28th of November is when Compose goes live on Flux, which is absolutely huge. And that's what opens us up for the 30 on 30 because we're going to rip it. the 30 things coming in December are very exciting.
That's what I've been like. I can't wait to watch that. When does that start?
1st of December.
First
We'll
of
launch our
December.
first one. We call it the 30 and 30, but we're going to take Christmas off and we're going to take New Year's off. Like I got to let the guys have some time off.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know
yeah,
what
no
I'm saying?
doubt.
But yeah, it'll be exciting. So
So it's 30 and 30 in 30 work days, right? Like actually 30 days.
work days.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll probably end up being more than 30, but the 30 is what I've committed to, because once this goes live with Compose, I mean, we already have a list of about 10 people that are waiting to launch. So to me, it's just it's wonderful to see it happening like that.
So what about, have you guys got anywhere on as far as NFT projects? Am I able to build an NFT on Flux right now, or is that something you guys are still working on?
Well, Ryan, now that you mention it, yes, Infinity. One of the things that the last fork of the Flux OS brought was the ability for us to execute Infinity contracts. Flux has taken a little bit different role in the NFT ecosystem because we want to position ourselves, because there's a lot of frothiness in the NFT space right now, right? A lot of concerns that I have specifically around copyright infringement, artists getting gigged and not getting their just due and things like that. We want to do things a little bit different. We're looking at the opportunity to develop NFT in the Infinity contract, so you can mint it and it'll be there forever on Flux. It's actually part of the blockchain, and you can also have content and media.
What do you mean content media?
I'm talking about, let's say Dan produces a mini series of three things, and I want an NFT of each one of those so that I control the rights to that particular project. The way it would work now is the contract would have that, but we want to host the content too, right? So we want the content to be directly aligned with the NFT. So if somebody comes into the space and they say, I want to use this content, and you allow them to do it, and you're the owner of it, and you're going to get royalties on that as well, then you'll provide them the content so that they can utilize it as well. You think of it as a pay-per-view. You talked yesterday about in your live stream, which I jumped on for a couple minutes there and was listening, and one of the ideas that you actually had resonated with me, and that was the festival where you buy an NFT and then you have access to the festival for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Well, we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to allow artists and developers to monetize and capitalize on their infrastructure, almost in like a pay-per-view style NFT. I mean, the only analogy I can come up with is like pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
Because you pay for the service, and then once you have that particular service, or once you get permission and you've made the payment, you then get that particular service.
Yep.
It's going to be exactly like that. And it could, because we have the infrastructure to back that up and the storage capacity, and that's why our nodes are so important. We actually, the node network, the decentralized node network, acts as the gatekeepers once that NFT's been generated and the permissions have been given. So it's, it's completely different than what people are doing with OpenSeas and things like this, where they're allowing pretty much anyone to mint an NFT. We're looking at it to do it a little bit different. We're looking at to be more regulatory compliant. We're looking at it to be more geared toward the artist and the producer. And then here's the other kicker. Once you've minted those NFTs, whether it's artwork or whatever, anything else, being able to access it directly in Zelcore. And get, Zelcore will be the gateway to that platform. So, and we looked at what it came down to is we could have launched a partnership with another NFT company. Solana's doing some really cool stuff. We could have done it with OpenSeas. We could have done it with a lot of different ones. Talked with Hup Life for a while about how they were doing it. In the end, it came down to none of the ways that we saw would work the way we want to do it. And so I think it's a really cool concept. I think is it going to be done tomorrow? No. But I think, quarter one, quarter two, I think you'll see the first kind of iteration of it. But I think the other piece is we're going to bring NFT storage within Zelcore well before that piece. So you're going to see the ability to produce and create NFTs, maybe not on that large a scale, but be able to store your NFTs. Because if I want to go to a crypto event and I want to show you my cyberpunk, I should be able to pull it up on my phone and show it. And if you want to buy it from me, I should be able to sell it to you. Real super simple, right?
Yeah.
Not your keys, not your Nifty.
Yep.
Just like not your keys, not your crypto. It's just factual.
So because you guys are bridged to Solana, will I be able to view my Solana NFTs in Zelcore?
Absolutely.
So you're going to have one crypto wallet that can view all NFTs from every project. In theory, then you guys would be able to build one marketplace that you could buy, sell, and mint everything all in one place. And you guys will be the
hanging
first.
out? Are you hanging out in the dev meetings?
No, but I'm putting two and two together pretty quick, I think.
Yeah. And it's going to, yeah, I just saw something pretty tragic the other day. Somebody had bought an NFT, and I believe it was OpenSeas that did this. And if it's not, I apologize, OpenSeas, if it's you. But they had their NFT, and for some reason, it was gone. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't access it. They were freaking out. And I don't know that they ever got it back. I should have followed that thread to see what ended up happening with that. But it made me start thinking about this. If people start spending a lot of money on these things, what happens if somebody mints an NFT? Let's say it's a picture of me, right? And they monetize it. Well, that's hard for me, right? Now, in this case, I'm a bit more public figure, but if it's an artist who depends their living on their representation, right? Now somebody else is monetizing their reputation, right? They're monetizing, maybe it's a clip of a song, or maybe it's whatever it is. I mean, this has been perplexing for years as to how do we protect artists and the content they develop. I mean, we go all the way back to LimeWire, when the record industry went through that. A lot of people were, that was like the first taste of a lot of people to kind of like, that pirating cyberpunk ethos, like, anarchy for all. But in reality, the only people that they ended up hurting was the artist, because these contracts are very laden on record sales. We want to make sure that we're doing it right so that the artist is protected, the person who's purchasing the NFT or the rights, access, even short-term or long-term, are protected. And that's kind of how we're building it out.
Now, if it's a blockchain, and it would be forever once it's on the blockchain, right?
Yes.
So how do you hold people accountable for theft? Like you can't remove it. So if I stole somebody else's artwork and turned it into an NFT, how do you hold me accountable for stealing their work? Well, is that possible, or?
It is. Historically, Flux has always had decentralization at heart and kind of that cypherpunk attitude. But we also realize as this project continues to roll, there's algorithms you can run for that. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of stuff. We're not the only ones that have these challenges, right? So,
yep, 100%.
I would say maybe not infinity contracts for all, but if you're an artist who wants to provide their content and we know that it's exactly what it's supposed to be, yeah, no problem, but there does need to be control mechanisms in it, because this isn't like we could simply just go to another, chain and then start to import whatever they're building like Solana. But we want to do it a little bit different, and we always are different. We look more toward making sure that we're looking to make this future proof, because sooner or later, NFTs will be under scrutiny, and they're already starting to kind of get poked at. Mm-hmm. if you started to look, right?
Yep.
So for us, we want to be there when we're ready, and we are open to adjusting or working with other projects who are fixing the same thing. We've done this before in the past. So maybe Solana comes out with a solution sooner than us that makes sense, and we just port that over.
Yep.
Yeah, we just implement it. So the way that it works is those partnerships are really super nice to be able to have and develop different aspects of the platform out. So yeah.
So how long till we see, and forgive me because obviously I've done very little research, but when is Flux's DeFi? Were you guys going to have DEXs, or is that going to be all ran through Zelcore? Or what is the best way to find new projects that are getting built on top of Flux?
Well, I kind of leaked a little bit of this earlier. We currently run our dashboard, and on that is our onboarding. So if you go to our website, you hit Launch Now, it's going to take you to the Launch Now page, and you'll be able to start the onboarding process to put your Dockerized application right on Flux. And it's super simple, and it's actually free at this point. So I would suggest everybody just head over, if you're a dev and you're listening to this and you have a Dockerized application that you'd love to see in a decentralized infrastructure, run on flux.io, hit launch at the top of the page, and go through the application process, and we'll fire it up on the network. Once it's went through the process, the onboarding process, it gets spawned on, I believe, on 3 nodes initially, but you can run as many nodes as you want for redundancy. I mean, like some of our projects run 10. Cadena has about 900 plus nodes. It's kind of cool how it works. I mean, eventually we want to make it so that it's completely hands off, and then it goes through the governance model of XDAO. But we have to iterate that and get there. So
yep.
Yeah.
Now is Flux is there anything on Flux website that shows like a Flux ecosystem? And is Flux doing anything to kind of like prevent against the rug pulls? Like, is there anything like, hey, once Flux, you build on Flux because anybody can build on Flux, right? Or do you guys have to get approved to build on Flux?
Well, the way that it stands right now, you'd have to go through the whitelisting process, and you'd have to present the project, and it would have to be submitted to the Docker Hub, which is devs who are building stuff in infrastructure. They know exactly what you say when you say it needs to be on Docker Hub, right? Mm-hmm. They get all that. So it's really just like you were building standard infrastructure anyway. And then once you go through the onboarding process, it gets tuned up on Flux.
Dude, that's so much better than Ethereum, because any crap coin can get built on there. And that sounds just better, that there's at least one set of eyes or a couple that are kind of glancing at a project and saying, okay, this isn't a complete scam.
I would say that our current attention getters are blockchain, crypto-based projects that are developing. But I think what you'll see very quickly is the fact that we will start to launch projects that aren't crypto related, that are standard tech stack related. So I think you could see I'm just using an example, you could run an Airbnb, a decentralized autonomous Airbnb right on Flux. You could run an Uber, powered by the drivers, right? So instead of having Uber take a cut and have a massive conglomeration and company on top, you could see the XDAO replication to the Uber drivers, and they participate in the governance on their network, right? So it's autonomous organizations are huge. We're already, Flux is already on its way to being a completely autonomous organization. We just literally had several XDAO votes where the node operators were able to vote on we put a proposal in, and they say, okay, yeah, we like this, or no, we don't. So we've had ones rejected, or we've had ones accepted. So you could see these autonomous organizations start to form and start to take the middle gatekeeper out of the scenario. So if you're out there and you're thinking about building an Airbnb or a VRBO or a rideshare program, you want it on an XDAO and you want it in a decentralized manner, let us know. We can help.
So here, how about this one? When Flux gets ready to launch your NFTs, if anybody wanted to fund a project like that, you could launch the NFT for it on Flux and then give anybody that buys that NFT 75% off their Uber rides for life. They would fund.
You could do anything like that.
The amount of money you would make from that NFT launch would fund that entire project, and you could literally build the decentralized Uber in probably a year and a half.
Well, what it does is it increases that attention to early adoption. So Zell Labs, which is an incubation and acceleration model of Flux, which is what's Flux Labs now, but
Flux Labs.
Flux Labs. It's the incubation acceleration arm. And, we're working with multiple projects now that they have a concept. They have, and I can use one example. It's a gaming platform, right? And they want to allow, each time they release a game, they want to allow their early adopters a premium for retention, because that's what a big piece of the gaming industry that's a problem is. They release this new content and there's no value to bring these individuals back again. They go to the next content, they go to the next content, they go to the next content. Part of that's their development. They got to make sure they got a good product. But World of Warcraft is, has been around forever, right? And now imagine, at some point creating NFTs for different in-game characters, right? For in-game gear, like a legendary sword that, you now hold the NFT to, and you're the only one, right? Yeah. The concepts just go wild, because if you can dream it and you can incentivize the people to keep participating with the project, you're going to keep perpetual growth. That's why your idea about the festival, it spoke to me, because I never thought about events. I really didn't. I thought about, it's almost like being in a club, right? You get in there and you can have different levels of NFTs. Yeah. And if Dan has access to that event, okay, I bought your NFT. Yep. And I want to sell that now. It's like, and somebody else has the money and they want to be there, right? Yeah, 100%. They're going to pay what I feel is fair. So I think there could be a marketplace for that as well. So,
and I wanted to build in, because at an event like that, like the NFT and funding it would be one thing, but then selling booth rent and to spaces like that, I want to give my early adopters a royalty for life. So as long as you're holding that royalty, if, say, whatever we call it, Kryptonic Fest or whatever it is, brings in 10 million a year from that one event, then being an
Yep.
owner of that NFT, you get that 1% fraction royalty every year. So even if you
Yep.
can't attend to the event, you're still getting that. You're still getting my merch drops for free every, and then I like the idea too, where I was like, well, if you like, because the Bored Apes, you can mute them and make mutants. So if you want to bring your friends to the event, you could, and you and your girlfriend have one, you could make a mutant
You're
one,
+1.
and then you get to your friends
Yeah.
get half off or whatever it is, because everybody would just mute everything, and then everybody would get in free. But if you give them a discount, at least then you're bringing your buddies in for free, and you just grow the family. And then they got mutant apes, they're mutant whatever, they get half off drinks or all the specials. It seems like just the possibilities are endless.
Ryan, think about this. I mean, StubHub, all these major ticket venues, do we have counterfeiting issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest challenges, and it happened to me, I bought tickets to a baseball game, I guess it was about 2 years ago. I get down there, they scanned it, said, you're already here. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm already here? I bought these off StubHub, here's my stuff. And they're like, no, these are counterfeit tickets.
Yep.
And I got burned one time, and I was like, wow, there's got to be a different way for this. And I think you could see an autonomous organization that allows peer-to-peer transitions of NFTs for events as well. So the event provider, let's say it's I'm not going to say a sports team, but let's say it's a sports team, and they mint 50,000 NFTs, then are distributed to their ticket holders, and we know they're real because they're going to have they're it's basically a smart contract of deployment, and you just need front ends on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it can't be counterfeited. It can't be counterfeited. You gotta have that QR code when you get to the gate, and if you don't have that QR code and it's not in the system, guess what, buddy? Sorry about your luck. And you can do some origination things, like a digital watermark or things like that. There's tons of stuff you could do with that. But that could even be done at an autonomous level in a marketplace where peer-to-peer, we're exchanging these things as well. Dan's got 2 tickets to go see blah, 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 as an NFT, and then we trade that back and forth. So
you run it
conceptually.
So you got to connect it directly to Zelcore, because if I had a screenshot of that, so as long as the NFT stays in Zelcore and somehow they can verify that it's actually in your Zelcore wallet, it would guarantee authenticity that it's actually not a screen. Because if I took a screenshot of that QR code, I could just walk up to the gate and it's invalid. But if you have it in a wallet and you verify it through the wallet, the only way to get that NFT into that wallet would be through the transfer and the owner of rights to it, correct?
Yeah, we thought about this, and we actually have a solution. I can't share it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to dig too deep.
Like if I gave you the solution, you'd be like, oh my God, that is so simple and it would work so well. So, these are all things that, when we sit around in our brainstorming sessions and we think about where we see these particular parts of the project going, NFT, the CEO of Zelcore he is a huge fan of the potential of what NFTs can be. Tim Tully. So Tim Tully was ex JP Morgan, ex Fidelity, ex State Street, ex whatever. So yeah, go check out the website. He's on there. He understands the complexities of the legacy market, and he's good with the crypto side of the world as well. So he finds these awesome bridges where everybody's talking about NFTs and they're FOMO and they're buying apes and they're doing this and they're doing that. And he's like me. He looks at that and he says, how can we overlap that so it comes back to conventional and legacy, right? Mm-hmm. So we get rid of all the hubbub. Well, you look at masternodes. We did the same thing with Flux. Masternodes were absolute cancer, right? And we found 1% of the technology that would really work, and we've developed a ton on top of it. So, I think everything has an opportunity. We just have to find out what the opportunity is and how realistic it is to use it. So, yeah.
I've watched you guys do that with NFTs. Would be the third thing that I think I've saw where you guys have dove down into a niche market, found that little tiny percentage that was actually valid, like all the crap coins and all these things that you guys have been doing along the way. And then I could no doubt when you guys touch NFTs, I bet you absolutely change the game. You guys have changed the game on everything you guys touch. So why would you guys not change it on NFTs?
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people, marketing gets the attention, but tech gets the win, right? I think it's always, we see situations where these, Shiba Inu and all these other projects come out. They can be adversely negative to these platforms, like, with Shiba. They're promising they'll have their own chain in 2 years. It's kind of terrifying to me. Project launches literally with no tech map whatsoever, and people just kind of FOMO into it. And those individuals are going to be sorely disappointed at some point in time. But what it does do as well is it does bring attention to other projects. And that's why I think Flux and Cadena and Solana, other projects that have been building and developing and busting their ass for such a long time, people start to gravitate toward the things that actually make sense. So that's why we're very, very meticulous with what we put in Zelcore, what we put in on the Flux platform, because you better be doing your job. And if you're not, we're not interested in it. So
yep. I think innovation is going to be the blockchains that are going to win are going to be the blockchains that can adapt and innovate fastest, because technology changes in this world so quick that, like, I look at Cardano and I see the big picture about bringing banking to the sectors of the world, but I don't think that they're the only blockchain that can do that. And I think that they have the most loyal diehard community in the industry right now, as far as like I mean, they're really, but at the same time, I think that their inability to innovate at the rate that they need to is going to be their Achilles heel. I didn't think about it until recently, and now I'm big picture. I'm like, shit, man.
It's called hopium, right? You know, you hear that term thrown around, hopium, you know what I mean? Because people are hoping, because they were early investors and the price went up, that they're going to innovate, but they're stuck with an innovator's dilemma. They have a platform that they created. There's no simplistic way, and there are other projects that are doing it more effectively. How do I pivot from what I've done to where I'm going, right? That's why we were very methodical with building Flux out. We looked at what was wrong with Ethereum, because when Flux was born, you know, Ethereum was the king of smart contracts. Solana didn't exist. KDA was kind of on the radar a little bit, but we didn't know what was happening with them. Like these different platforms. And we said, we're not even going to go that route, right? We believe in Web3. Web3 is where we're going to land, right? And we actually kind of built from the ground up with the end in mind. We looked at, where do we have to get to be Web3? And that's exactly what we did. So I feel for the people that are in these projects who have promised a lot of technology. Maybe it does come. Maybe it does come down the road. I don't know. I'm not on the inside. I don't know what their dev meetings look like. I can only check their GitHubs, and I can only check their activity, what's really technologically being advanced. And I would say I could probably take all the commits from the top 100 projects, sans, you know, a few, Solana and, you know, KDA and some other ones, and you could Flux probably did that in a week.
No,
so
that's crazy,
you know,
man.
And when people start to get, and you get a more mature investor coming into the space, like, you know, I heard your story yesterday, you talking about how you did this and you bought this and you switched this around and you almost went broke, and then you got into leverage, and then you know, got your rear end kicked and all this other stuff. And then you finally got smart and you said, I need to really look at the fundamentals of the project. And when people start to get to the point where they're tired of listening and getting taken advantage of by what, you know, a paid shill on YouTube is doing, they're going to look at fundamentals, and you create a higher level of education. In the text, I don't know if you've ever seen Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, right?
Yep.
He capitalized on penny stocks. Why? Because he knew how to sell them.
Yep.
Well, there's really no difference to what, you know, Shiba Inu and all these dog memes and everything like that they're doing the same thing, right? They're following the blueprint of Jordan Belfort, and we all know how that ended up in the end, right?
Do you understand that they're, like, I tell people, when you're not building tech and all you have to do is market, you win. When you have you know what I'm saying? Shiba has this unlimited amount of resources, and they're building nothing. So all I have to do is dedicate all my resources to making people believe that this is the next Ethereum, and FOMO takes place until people get wrecked, and it's going to be sad when they do, because it's going to be.
Well, it's kind of funny because I kind of have a joke with the community. Red days are the best days for the market, and they're like, you know, let me explain to why that is. You know, we're like 160 on, you know, coin market cap right now, or somewhere floating around that. We made up our best days when the market was getting slaughtered, because the people that are in this project have already done the due diligence and know the project's better than what else is out there.
Yep.
So give me 3 more red days, right, and we'll be in top 100. You know, that's how I feel about it, because, you know, people will lose they'll sell, they'll get worried, and they're not entrusting. You know, maybe you have a dev group that's anon, you know, we can't, how can you get behind that?
Yep.
You know, it's like, people need to learn these hard lessons, these rug pulls. You know, this guy came into Discord the other day and he was telling us about this rug pull that he got into. I'm like, well, why the are you buying dog coins?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, man. And he's like, well, you know, I sold some Flux and I bought some of this, and then it went to zero. It was that one that went, did you see that video of that guy, the YouTuber, where it went like to zero in like a millisecond. Like
No,
they rug
no.
pulled the whole thing. It was really, honestly, it was sad to watch. But that's the experience a lot of people are going to have to have.
Yep.
You're going to have to figure it out, you know.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's just how it goes. So.
Yeah, I get messaged by a ton of people every day asking me to expose this rug pull, and I was pretty adamant about doing it at first, and now I'm just like, listen, guys, like it's your own fault for investing in the coin. But then I started asking them, well, what made you invest in that coin? Like, explain to me why you put your money into that coin. It's pretty scary, the lack of explanation that there's no justifiable answer. It's like they didn't look at develop. I mean, the web, it was the worst. Like, I don't even know how you got rug. It was so bad. Like, how do you even get rug pulled by that? And one last thing I want to say too is I can't be 100% on this, but I've interviewed a lot of people. Do you know that Flux is the only cryptocurrency that I've ever brought on this show that goes out of their way to bring everybody else up around them? Like, you talk extremely highly about Solana, you talk extremely highly about Cadena. I mean, it's very rare that I bring somebody else on my show and they're almost promoting for other cryptocurrencies, which I think is going to be one of the biggest assets to you guys. It just shows how confident you guys are in yourself that you're willing to speak highly about everybody else. And I don't think I've ever had anybody else on the show that's done that. So.
Well, I think in the crypto space, it's kind of tribalistic, right? You know, you protect your bags, you protect your position. We are so early on. You know, my son, who is big into crypto, you know, now he's been pumping. He's loving life right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a kid that's, you know, 26 years old, and he was in at the right time, and he's just really happy about everything. And he asked me a lot of questions, and he's educated not because of me, right? He's educated because he asks. He's inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we have competition in this space. I really don't. I think we have opportunities. And when we can put down our swords and our axes and we can stop picking fights with each other because your TPS is greater, as my TPS is greater than your TPS, and we can start to build relationships, that's when we win. That's when all of us win. And when I say all of us, the people that are on these different projects, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yep.
And if we work together to build the future of Web3, the blockchain of crypto, as a community together, instead of being tribalistic assholes at times, right?
Yep.
We win. We all win.
100%.
So thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that, man. That's a big deal. Thank you.
No problem, man. Thank you guys for coming on the show, man. So anything else? Because we're about to hit that hour limit, and I know I got an attention span of a goldfish, so I assume most of my viewers are probably right there with me. But
Yeah.
When can we get you back on the show? And is your son into blockchain? Is he into YouTube?
He is. Yeah, he is into blockchain. He's a little bit he's learning. He's going through the ropes. You know what I mean? He bought Bitcoin and Flux and Ethereum, you know, prior to this year. So he's in pretty good shape, you know, in terms of, like, you know, educating himself. And he loves Flux, he loves Solana, he loves KDA, he loves these projects that really are meat and potatoes, and he loves to point out the coins.
Yeah.
He's like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So yeah, so it's kind of fun. So
man, it's cool. It must be cool to have a dad like you, man, in the crypto space. So
oh, well, yeah, thank you. I think he likes, you know, I'm young at heart, man. So this is a legacy for all of our children that we're leaving. You know what I mean? We're not affecting our generation. Yes, people will see probably, you know, wealth and gains and notoriety. But, you know, when Satoshi Nakamoto cranked out that first block of BTC, you know, he changed everything in a legacy, right? Oh. My generation will be the first generation to not leave our children in better shape than the generation before.
All right, Dan. Well, thank you, man. Let's wrap it up, and we'll get you back on the show as soon as you want. So where are you guys most active at? I know you say Discord, Telegram. Let everybody know where they can find you again. I'll throw that across the screen again for you guys, and see when we can get you on here as soon as possible again.
Ryan, I appreciate it, man. And as always, it's been an absolute pleasure being on here. Runonflux.io is the website. Twitter, we're very active on Twitter. It's at runonflux. You can also find us in Discord. Get a Discord link directly from the webpage. We also have a Telegram group, and I mean, all the usual hangouts. So one of the things that's nice is if you join Telegram, you're also bridged to Discord as well, so we can talk. We kind of have this bridge that goes back and forth between the two. So
oh, no way.
it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. We get to keep the communities kind of in the loop that way. So
That's awesome, man. And congratulations on the whole Apple Pay thing, man. I keep telling people it won't be long before I'm saying, hey Siri, buy me $500 of Flux and pay with Cadena, or, you know, how long do you think we're voice commanding crypto into our wallets?
look, Siri was listening to you down there, Ryan.
Did she buy any Flux?
No, I don't know if she bought the Flux, but yeah. I catch that. Yeah. I think you'll see it. I think you'll see the ability for Eve to do that with next year sometime. So we're really pushing that that adoption level. So one it in the hands of everybody. And I mean, it really, and just to close it out, because you know I love to talk, man. I just want to thank everybody for all their support that we've got, and not just the excitement around the past few weeks, the dedication of the team for the past 4 years, every single one of them. Myself, Parker, and Tadeusz, who are the founders, we couldn't be more excited. And if you have questions about the project, again, we're one of the only projects you're going to be able to come in and get the founders to talk with you. So come on board, and we're glad to answer any questions you got, and we look forward to, you know, lots of cool stuff down the road.
Awesome, man. Dan, thank you so much, man. And hopefully you end up making it to Miami, because if you do, we're definitely going to get an in-person interview together, man, and have a couple drinks and hang out, man.
I would say I'm bringing my skateboard, because we both like skateboarding, but I don't think that would work out well for me.
Me neither, man. Me neither.
All right, brother. Thank you. And
All right,
I'll
thanks,
talk
Dan.
to you later.
Have a great day, buddy. Peace.